Hi. Looking at what is going on in America right now, and what has been going on for a very long time sadly, we wanted to see what we can learn from Islam to fix these problems. Because after all, this is an Islamic channel where we talk about Islam. So if you want to learn more about Islam, please consider subscribing. Today joining us is Dr. H. Dr. H is a professor at the University of Alavi Media. Hello, Doctor. Hi, thank you for joining us today to discuss racism and mainly the treatment of black people in Islam. It's a pleasure being here. This matter is very important in Islam and I am happy to discuss it today so we can learn more and try to use what we learn. So let's get right into it. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that black people were among the first people to become Muslims because they saw a system and a religion that did not discriminate and treated them equally. Oh, no problem, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to make that clear at the beginning because it's very important. As I was saying, I wanted to ask you about how the Quran, the Prophet, and our 12 Imams talked about and dealt with discrimination. Then, I would like to know a few notable black people in Islam. So your first question was about what the Quran, the Prophet, and the Imams have said about racism and discrimination. Yes. Have they said anything about racism? Yes, of course. They not only discouraged racism, but they encouraged anti-racism with their words and actions. Oh wow. So we should do the same then. Okay. Can you give us a few examples, please? I will start with the Quran if that's okay. Please do. There are a few verses in the Quran that talk about this subject. The first example is in chapter 6, verse 98, where God says, "And it is He who produced you from one soul." One soul. Or in another place, chapter 49, verse 13, God says, "O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you." What is righteousness? It's how much you obey the word of God and control yourself in the face of sin. Sins like lying, making fun of people, discrimination, and any other bad thing. Oh, okay. Another important verse I would like to mention that is related to the protests going on in the US is in chapter 5, verse 32, where God says, "Because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel that whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption done in the land, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. And our messengers had certainly come to them with clear proofs." And God goes on. Wow! So killing a person, any person, for no reason is like killing all of humanity? All of humanity? And saving one is like saving all of humanity. So we should save anyone we see who is in need, like the black people that are being killed at the hand of the police. Okay, what about the word of the Prophet and the Imams? First of all, one of our Imams, which we believe are infallible, that means they do not commit any mistakes and are the best people in the world, is black. And a few of them had a very dark skin tone because their parents were black. Okay, what about the Prophet? What has he said about racism? Well, the Prophet has said many things, which I will give you an example of right now. But first we should know the context of when the Prophet was saying these things, shouldn't we? Yes, we should. First of all, the Arabs before Islam were very racist. They saw themselves as the best people and looked down at others. Most black people in the Arabian Peninsula were slaves at the time. So knowing these, what did the Prophet say? The Prophet used to say many things about racism, but I will give you 3 examples. In the last Hajj of the Prophet's life, he said, "Your God is one, your Father is one, your religion is one, your Prophet is one, and there is no superiority for an Arab over a non-Arab or a non-Arab over an Arab, or black over a wheat-colored person, or vice versa, but in righteousness. I'm sorry, wheat-colored? The Arabs were wheat-colored, and it was a phrase used to describe that type of color. Oh, okay. So there is no superiority between these races, and what makes people superior to one another is only his or her righteousness. Exactly. This fact is so important that when the Prophet finally took Mecca from his enemy, and may I add without any bloodshed, and went into the Kaaba and came out, he held the handle of the door and thanked God and said, God destroyed the Arabs' arrogance and their pride in who their father is. You are all from Adam, and Adam is from dirt. The most noble of you is the most righteous of you. Oh, just like that verse in the Quran. So nobility has nothing to do with your race, and you shouldn't pride yourself on having a different race, because we are all humans. Exactly. Another thing you said about the Prophet was about standing up to racism. Can you elaborate on that, please? Yes. Here my example is from a book called Al-Ikhtisas. This example isn't about black people, but it's about the Arabian racism against non-Arabs like Persians, and the Prophet standing up to it. So one day, a man called Salman Farsi, who was a Persian, was sitting in the mosque in a special place. What do you mean by a special place? I mean, because of his age and his closeness to the Prophet, he was sitting in an honorable spot of the mosque. Oh, okay. So when Umar came in, he said, who is this non-Arab that is sitting between the Arabs in an honorable spot? The Prophet sat on a high place, then he said, humans from Adam till now have been like the teeth of a comb. So they are all equal, you mean? Just like the teeth of a comb? Yes. Then the Prophet went on to say, an Arab isn't better than a non-Arab, nor is a white better than a black, except in terms of righteousness. So not only should we not be racist, but we should be fighting for the people who are being subjected to it. So the next question I wanted to ask you was about notable black people in the Islamic world. Can you give me any examples? Yes. First of all, just like I said before, one of our imams were black. This shows that your race doesn't affect your nobility at all. Another example is a man called Bilal Habashi. He was brought to the Arabian Peninsula as a slave from Ethiopia. He was one of the first people to become a Muslim, and because of that, he was tortured. The Prophet bought him and freed him. Then he made him the Mu'adhin. The Mu'adhin was the person who used to announce the time of prayer with the adhan. I've heard of Bilal. Apparently he couldn't pronounce the sh sound and used to say s instead. But the Prophet used to say that his s was accepted by God more than other people's sh. That's correct. Another notable person was called John. He was a soldier in Imam Hussein's army, and we remember him until this day, and we look up to him as a martyr that defended his Imam and Islam with his life. If you want to learn more about Imam Hussein, there is a card in the corner of this video where if you click it, it's gonna take you to one of my other videos which explains a bit more about Imam Hussein. Kafur al-Akhshidi was another man. He was a slave that was chosen as a king for the Muslims. Okay, thank you so much, doctor. That's all we have time for today. If you want to learn more about Islam, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching the video. And if you have any questions, just write them in the comments below. Thank you, and bye-bye.